Hello, everybody. My name is Stratnus, and welcome to my Mythic Forgeweaver Araz guide. So this boss has been nerfed quite a bit from a version you may have seen on the Race to World First. Still quite a challenging boss for a fourth boss if you aren't prepared for it, though. So up first, you want to put down the world markers in the room, like you see here. Then the first thing the boss is going to do is activate one of the collectors and cause dodges to be shot out from it, cause these projectiles to be shot out from it. They're a little bit slower than again, you may have seen on the pre-nerf version, but they will one-shot you if you're a DPS player and you get hit by one, so you have to make sure to dodge. If you're a tank, you can try and soak the ones that are aimed at the raid. Then that collector will shoot this black hole projectile opposite it through the middle of the room. So we've got the star collector active, which means the circle is where the black hole is going to be, and is where people are going to be targeted with the ads they're going to run there. So the collector is going to pick 4 people, and it's going to start like draining their souls, and when it's done, it's going to spawn an ad at their location, and that ad is going to run to that collector. The ad is a lot faster than lower difficulties, a lot slower than it was pre-nerf, and you can do this in a couple of different ways. You could have these 4 people go behind the black hole and have all those ads run through the black hole, or you can spawn it in front of the black hole and then push them back into the black hole, which is the strat we used because that was what you needed to make the DPS check pre-nerf. You don't need to do this now post-nerf, so you could instead just have everybody go behind the black hole, spawn the ads there and have them run through, and you won't have to worry about coordinating knocks and having these be as precisely pixel stacked as you see here. So pick whichever of those sounds best. If you do spawn them in front, you need to have an assigned knock into the thing. And then there are a bunch of different crowd control effects you want to use on these things. You don't need a precise rotation anymore, but it's still good to set one up. It's still good to think about what you're going to use on each of these. The most premium abilities are Binding Shot, especially if your hunter's playing Pack Leader, which ours isn't because he's playing MM because he does really good damage on MM. But some hunters play BM on this fight, and then you get the Pack Leader Binding Shot Grip. That's really nice to sort of put them in there. Champion Spear, another premium effect against these, and then after that it's your typical leg sweep, shockwave, chaos nova, those kind of effects against these enemies. So then we get the first tank soak. This goes opposite, basically this goes next to the active collector. This always needs to be 20 yards away from the boss. If it gets closer than 20 yards, the boss is going to get a damage reduction for a while and a damage increase, and also the echo is, and you need to kill this echo. All the future echoes can die slowly. This first one that spawns actually needs to die fairly quickly. So we spawn this, and then it was being buggy when we were first doing this fight, so the tank that spawns it is still holding the boss, and the other tank runs over and taunts it. It didn't seem like this was super necessary anymore, but when we started pulling this boss, that felt like the best way to make this consistent. And then we were doing a tank swap during this spot here, where the bosses are both rooted and not able to move. So this was how we were setting this up. You probably don't have to set this up this way with your tank swaps, but we found this to be helpful. So now the boss has activated a second collector. So now there's 2 collectors active, and either one of them could shoot out the next Void Tear and activate first on spawning the ads, which means we could either have the ads go to circle or come across from X through to Moon, and that's random. It could be either one. You can see that projectile, though, comes over to Moon, so immediately I'm bringing the echo away because the boss is going to go to Moon because that's where the ads are going to spawn. Now we have the second tank soak coming out. This goes, again, opposite the active Void Tear towards the collector that's gripping in the ads. And this one, each of these soaks, you want half your raid in each of them because it reduces the damage on the entire raid. But the people who go into it get a healing absorb as well as taking that damage. So they're in a little bit of danger, especially if they get the dot after this. That's one of the most common ways to die here, especially if it's a 3-heal fight. You don't have to 3-heal this fight anymore, but you can still, if you want. If your damage is weak, play an extra damage dealer. If your healing is weak, play an extra healer and you'll have an easier time triaging this. But if you are 3-healing this in particular, when you have this healing absorb and you are either spawning an ad or any other damages going on you, you're dead. So press a defensive, press a heal, a health pot, something like that. Okay, so second echo spawns. We can taunt this. And again, we just always kind of want to be opposite the boss. So the boss is rotating around to the next black hole. That's where the ads are going to spawn, and the echo gets moved over here. I'm playing Throwglaive Simulator because I'm our Chaos Brand, so I make sure to Throwglaive the boss to get the Chaos Brand on all of these ads. But yeah, again, Ring of Peace, another premium effect against these ads, just keeping them knocked away from the collector they're running to. If they make it to their collector, it's a wipe. Then we get this set is going to be a 3-ad spawn, and it could be random. It can be any of the 3 in any order. Like, all 3 are going to activate, but it can go in any order. So we're looking for that projectile, and you'll barely see this little black trail in the middle of the room coming from this collector over towards Moon. So Moon's going to be where the ads go first, and I'm going to bring the Echo over towards X. The boss is going to be going over towards Moon. The ads are going to go be placed at Moon. And again, you could do this behind the tear if you want instead of in front of it. If that'll make your life easier, but you'll have a little bit less damage. But you don't need the damage, so pick your poison. Then the boss is going to rotate towards where the next ads are going to be, which is circle, which means we already know the third ads are going to be at triangle, which means that the echo is going to go all the way over towards blue, the blue collector. So I'm already kind of just making this move, making sure to stay 20 yards away from the boss so that they don't get that damage reduction. And the boss is being brought just there as well so that they can continue to get cleaved down. Again, this echo doesn't have to die. It doesn't have to die until like after the first intermission is over. So you got plenty of time to let this thing get efficiently cleaved by your specs that do that, by your Destro locks and stuff. Then here we just finish off these last ones, and we get into the intermission. So for the intermission on Mythic, you need all the collectors to die within 5 seconds of the first collector dying. So you may need to slow damage. There's a weak aura in the liquid weak aura pack that will put up a % on your screen when the collector you're targeting is below like 10% health, and that will show you how far ahead you are relative to the highest collector. You can go into the options and make that load at a higher % on the thing you're targeting, and I recommend doing that if you are having trouble with one dying ahead of the others, but you can also look at your boss frames, which mine aren't particularly well suited for this. I wasn't really in charge of looking at or calling this, so I didn't really change how that looked, but yeah, okay, so now we get 2 tank ads that spawn as well. So you've split your raid up, and everybody's going and dodging these lines. There was a lot, they're quite long now, it's 2 seconds, you have a lot of time to see this and then dodge, but you can still try and spread evenly so that multiple people aren't forced to dodge by the same line spawning. And just be aware, if you're playing in the middle between 2 collectors, you're going to have a little bit more dodging to do. There's enough time to actually do that dodge now, so it still is efficient for somebody with, you know, like a Shadow Priest, a Warlock, something like that. They should be standing there. Then we get these 2 intermission ads, and these need to get brought to the collectors as they reach full energy. When a collector reaches full energy, it channels a laser beam into the middle of the room. If that doesn't hit an ad and instead makes it to the middle of the room, then it's going to wipe your raid. So these need to be brought to those collectors as they are full energy. So you can see here, this is the highest energy one. I'm bringing it over here. A lot of damage on the tank here. This is one of the scariest spots for a tank, so I send meta here. It's usually during this phase, although I haven't pressed it yet. But typically I push my meta at some point during this phase based on when I felt in danger. I got Iron Barked here, so I was holding it for a little while. So yeah, that first collector activates. As soon as it starts channeling into the middle of the room, it stuns the ad in front of it so you can start moving. And what we did is we had the first collector activate, the second collector activate, and then the tank from the first collector moved to the third collector. And then the tank from the second collector would also move to the third collector. That's when we'd taunt swap on the little ads. And if needed, the tank from the first collector would then go back to the first collector with the ad that had originally been at the second collector. And by then, usually you should be pushing out of the phase. Here, we pushed well ahead of that because we were like 15 seconds ahead of the push here. But you want to be pushing before you get to like 8 or 9 stacks of the debuff that ramps in that phase. Then we get to the second phase 1. This is just a truncated phase 1. All the collectors are going to be activated at once. This is the hardest dodge of the fight. You're going to have projectile. If you group up though, where on circle-ish, you can see there's a nice, safe triangle-ish diamond thing that's typically created. This is not always. Sometimes there will be a rogue projectile through here, but it's pretty safe from the X and square collectors. And then the star collector, you want your tanks to soak any projectiles that are going through the boss so that the people, the raid that's over here doesn't have to worry about dodging them. Of course, you can also just try and dodge, but I recommend having your tanks do that. Then we get another, so now again, we get sort of like the end of the first phase 1. All 3 of the collectors are going to spawn ads, but it's random which order. Wherever we go first, the first soak, and the only soak of this phase, is going to go opposite this. Now this soak, there's a lot of raid damage going on during it. Unlike the P1 ones are a little bit less lethal than this one. So this one, instead of putting the Soak 1 team in again, you want to kind of make a super team of your immunities, your tankiest players, both of your tanks. Everybody who doesn't mind getting hit by the healing absorb basically should get in this soak, and anybody who's scared should stay out of it. So here you can see that soak's coming out. First we handle this, and yeah, I should be getting over there into the soak. I didn't this time because I'm stupid and I didn't, but I should have been in that soak as well, but I want to give the healer something to heal sometimes, so... then the echo, again, we're just moving it around. As soon as we see where the second ads are going to spawn here, which is triangle, we know that the third ads are going to spawn at moon. So I already know, okay, I want to take this echo in a nice big circle, and I want to end over at X, because that's going to be opposite moon. So we can already sort of be making this move as the echo tank here. This echo, again, also very low priority damage target. Don't worry about it. It can die whenever it dies. It can get cleaved during the intermission by anybody whose collector is ahead, and it can die even at the start of P2. Yes, this could even be alive when the boss dies. It's fine. Like, if you don't have good damage for this thing, don't worry about it. It's not the most important thing in the world. The echoes do have energy. If it reaches full, that's bad, but it takes like a year for that to happen. So, yeah, don't worry too much about it. Then we get, again, another intermission. Exact same as the first one. You want to look out for any stray ads that are still alive going into the intermission. In both the first and second intermission, there's a spawn of ads like 5 seconds before it starts. So I'm always looking for a good sigil of chains there. But you also want people like Ring of Peace. Somebody with a Ring of Peace can be looking to play kind of goalie there. And if they're above like half health, 30% health as that cast is starting, just make sure to swap onto it before going to your collectors. Then once again here, you can see just the ad getting stunned by that collector. The other tank is at the square collector, or the X collector, so I'm going to take these over to the square collector and get here in time to intercept this beam. And then we're going to do a taunt swap on the attendants because they stack a attack speed increase each time they hit the same target over and over again, so you want to make sure you do a tank swap on those. And then again, we're already basically ready to kill all the collectors, so the damage amp is going to start here in a sec. I make sure to hold the echo, because so we had a little taunt mishap there. The other tank should have taunted the attendant here, taunted the echo instead, so I had to taunt back, and then we were waiting for that taunt to come off CD so that he can bring the attendants under the boss to get cleave for free. Now, this damage amp is where you lusted pre-nerf on progression, and it's probably where you will lust if you're reaching this and your DPS is a little bit less optimized. You have a little bit less of an optimal comp. You don't have as many of these Shadow Priests, these Warlocks, and you're spending a little bit longer on this fight. We ended up actually pushing below 15% during the damage amp, which immediately cancels the damage amp and skips the rest of it and goes straight into phase 2. So that might happen for you as well. And then you get a very short phase 2 if this is going to happen. If the boss is above 15% health at the end of the damage amp, don't panic. You can still kill it. If it's much higher than like 20%, you're going to have a difficult time here in phase 2. You're going to have to actually do a long phase. But yeah, you can see it's already at 4% here. The boss is just dead on our screens, right? But if you do get this phase, what you want to do is go to the skull marker, spawn your ads there. You want to portion out and ration out your time spirals, stampeding roars, windrush totems, and you want to overload the front part of the phase. And don't worry too much about making sure you have coverage a minute into this phase. Just use all of them in the first 30, 45 seconds of this phase. Same with the CCs. You want to set up a CC plan for the first like 3 waves of ads. Ring of Peace again is really good. What you want to do is you're spawning ads on skull here in the corner, and then you can ROP them right into the you set up the ROP such that it cuts off this part of the wall here, this part of the wall here, and just pushing them into the corner, and you can bully them there for quite a while. Same with the binding, all those sorts of effects. Plan them out for the first couple of spawns of ads. Nobody is targeting ads here. You're targeting the boss. The only time you are doing AoE buttons is if it increases your single target to the boss. You're just nuking the boss here. The first 3 waves of ads, you can make sure they die by the CC. Ad waves beyond that, you're just hitting the boss and hoping it dies before you do, because the grip is getting too intense to stay in this phase for too long. But yeah, these ads would go to skull, and then the boss also casts these knockbacks in this phase, so be aware of that if you're getting this phase. Is these knockbacks happen. They're basically like the intermission knockbacks. It pushes everybody away from the boss, does some damage. So if you can, try and be getting knocked in front of the boss, right, towards skull, towards the wall here, because then that's going to be helping you rather than hurting you against the increasing grip towards the back of the room. But we didn't see that because the boss was already dead. So sorry about that. Not the way this nerf worked out was not particularly good for a guide video having the entire fight for us. So sorry about that. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions about it. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.